Welcome along to episode 31 of In at the Side. We have the pleasure of being joined by Gloucester Griffins mixed ability rugby team tonight. As always, I'm Neil Williamson. I'm joined by JK and four of the guys from the setup over in Gloucester. How's everyone doing? You okay?
Yeah, good. Doing good, thank you.
Excellent. And how you been sort of coping in lockdown? Have you been managed to do a bit of training and stuff and keep yourself active? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Excellent. And have you sort of done any? I know a lot of clubs are doing sort of like videos passing the ball and that sort of thing. Did you do anything like that to sort of keep the team together?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Excellent. Right. So first of all, tell us a bit about the team. We're obviously joined by the rest of the guys. We've got Rich, who's the director of rugby. We've got Darren, who's head coach and player, and obviously Rich plays as well. And we've got Jez, who's player welfare and player and welfare officer. Andrew, what is it you do at the club? Is it you're a player, or do you have a role at the club as well?
No, I'm just a mixed ability player.
Excellent.
What position do you play?
I have no idea. You have to ask Rich. I played multiple positions over the season.
That's it. Rich has got a hard task. Front five. Excellent. No worries. So, tell us a little bit about the team. How did it get set up? I mean, who wants to take that one?
Yeah, I don't mind taking it. That's fine. So basically, we set up in 2017 in the summer with a joint enterprise from Long Levens Rugby Club, where we're based out of, and Gloucester Rugby Club on a short 12-week program through the NGB. And so when they pulled away, there was a few players that disappeared with them, and I was left with probably about 15 players. But over the course of the last 2.5-3 seasons, we've now got up to nearly a 50-player base. And because of the success of what we've done, we've now moved on to coaching within junior schools and stuff, special needs schools, and we coach on average about 150 children per week.
Wow. That's a full-time job.
Yes.
3 teams.
It is.
You've got more teams than most rugby clubs.
Yeah. You'll see that, honestly, in training. You'll get anywhere between 30 and 40 people regularly training. I mean, now we've just literally gone back to training now. And we've had to split into 2 groups of 20, haven't we? 6 till 7 and 7 till 8. You know, we're filling the numbers and turning people away at some points as well. So, really good.
That's a big coaching setup then. How many coaches have you guys got handling that rabble?
It's actually split into 5. So, it's quite easy to split 4 coaches between groups of 5 and manoeuvre it around that way. You can still social distance. You can still do a little bit of fitness. You can still do, skills, on your own personally. We've got lots of drills, lots of internet stuff we've been digging in because it's new to everyone. I mean, I've searched more on the internet now for these sort of rugby singular skills than any time in my life. And it's probably a benefit in some respects because it takes it right back to basics. And it's really good.
That's excellent. And in terms of training, I'm assuming, like you said, because you mentioned social distancing, you guys are back training and you train Tuesday, I'm assuming, and are you doing twice a week or just once?
We basically, me, because obviously I play for the Long Levens Disability Griffins. Mm-hmm. So we train on a Wednesday. So I've been doing 6 till 7.
Right.
And as Darren said, it last night was a lot around our fitness. A bit of game based, and a bit of fun games, fitness, and some skill work, which I actually found really, really good, and it actually helped me quite a lot.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. Our club's just started back this week, and yeah.
Well, I've done 2 sessions now. I did Tuesday just gone and the Tuesday before it. I knew pre-hand that it was going to be fitness, and I still turned up. I don't know about anybody else, but the weirdest time in training was that bit at the start where everyone's got their boots on, they're stood there waiting for training to start, and you're not throwing a ball to each other or kicking it to each other. That's really odd.
That was first, because obviously I've been back for 2 weeks now, and the first week I went back, it was really weird because usually we were throwing the ball around, talking, laughing, joking with each other, obviously doing a bit of handling skill. If you drop the ball, you got to run around the circle and come back and testing people's fitness, and you can't at the moment. Unfortunately, you can't do that at the moment. But fingers crossed. Hopefully, soon things go back to normal soon.
Yeah, well, that must be really. Sorry.
That's all right. No, I was just going to say, like Neil, you've been in the in rugby for years, and you know, yeah.
I'm on podcast, but I'll allow it.
But you know what it's like at a training session, how difficult it is to get everybody together. Yeah. You know, start training. It's actually, from what I've seen for the 2 sessions that I've attended, everybody's a lot more focused. And I know it's really, really difficult, but it's getting people into that point where they know that they're there to do something. They've only got 50 minutes to an hour to do it.
Yeah.
Let's get there. We've not seen each other for almost 12, 14 weeks, maybe more in some cases. And whereas we know we want to, you know, have a little chat and a catch up, we also know as well that we're there to do a job in essence. And I think it's definitely given structure to people, which is the one thing, even from my point of view, I've struggled over the last 3 months with having a structure, working from home, not having those breaks that I need. And I've literally, you know me, I hate training. Absolutely.
I think I've seen you twice in the all the years we played together. I think I saw you twice.
Yeah. And that's because you weren't there the other times.
Correct.
Yeah. But I think everybody's found the last sort of like the two sessions really good, even though we haven't, as Andy says, we haven't been able to interact like we would. It's still having those people around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Darren and Rich, and having to plan training sessions, especially within hour slots, that must be really challenging. It must be like, you know, because coaching a session of 30 blokes is bad enough as it is, but then having to split it down to make sure everyone's socially distant, to make sure all the rules are being followed, it must be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll follow up.
It's certainly not easy.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that. You've obviously, given it's a mixed ability team, and I know, obviously, the reason why this sort of subject is close to me is my eldest son has Down syndrome. So obviously, mixed ability teams was a godsend, and I'm thankful, so thankful, because obviously nearly 10 years ago, it wasn't a thing, and now there is. I'm so happy. Obviously, it must be. I know it's difficult for my coaching staff, my team, having to try and plan those 6 people at a time, no touching the ball, this, that, and the other. But for a mixed ability team, having to keep the sessions not only obviously social distancing, but engaging at the same time, given the breadth of abilities you've got within there, that must make that right up here in the terms of different.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of hard work, but the players respect what we say. We've enforced a few things. We've like almost demanded, I guess, that players respect the rules that we've put in place, because they're not going to be here for forever. It's just a period of time, if that makes sense. And when the lads turn up, they like Jez is already alluded to. It's very refreshing that they're all focused. They all just want to get back to it in whichever way they can, really. Yeah. So it's quite nice that Darren does all the rugby side now of like in a training plan, and I can then focus on like the social distancing side of things. So we kind of bounce off each other with ideas. You know, could we do this a bit better? Is this a bit risky, etc., etc.
Yeah. And one thing as well, as part of the inclusive side of it as well, is some of the guys are still quite high risk and they can't train. So they have access to that training program as well. So they can do it at home. So we try and make it a little bit more user-friendly in that respect. But I'll be honest with anyone, as soon as we get back to rugby, I'll never complain again.
No.
If you can't say you cannot plan a session under normal circumstances, there's something wrong, because this is such a challenge. But we're doing well with it, I think. I think we're doing okay. We're enjoying it.
Well, I know that my coach has sort of struggled and stuff in Hereford, and I was just chatting to him about it, and I was going to say I wanted to bring it up with yourselves, but I mean, it would pick on my head just to do a normal session, you know, especially when I know that you guys said you always have good turnouts, but I can't imagine how frustrating it is when you plan a session for 30 people and then only 5 turn up, you know. It's good that you guys have got the uptake, and, you know, that's never normally an issue, obviously.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, obviously this might be a bit of a sort of a stick in a throat moment, but I know that you guys were meant to be at the World Cup. Was it over in Ireland a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Sorry to mention that.
That's right.
So what's the plan going forward? I mean, is it you've got to wait another 4 years? Are they redoing it? I mean, what's the situation?
Well, from far as I know, obviously, the coach, like Darren and Rich, are obviously going to know a lot more than the players because obviously they're going to be dealing with it quite a lot. But from what I know of, I think it's been postponed until 2021 of June next year.
Right.
Which, and my point was, great. It's great we're still going because I think the whole squad. I think is it a 35-man squad we can take?
30.
36. Thank you, Rich.
30, Andy.
Sorry, say it again, Rich.
3-0.
Oh, 3-0, sorry. I want to cream my ears out. The 30 players who are going, obviously, you've got to be careful what I'm saying, but it doesn't sound like I'm being nasty. But the 30 people, the 30-man squad, or women's squad, however you want to put it, it's great that them people are still going because obviously they've worked really hard and they deserve a chance to bring that cup home. Yeah. Obviously, I'm included in that 30. I'm included in that 30 squad, which I'm absolutely over the moon and really grateful and very proud to be selected. To be selected. So that's pretty much it from me. Obviously, like I said, that it's been postponed until next year, which is great. It was sad not to go this year. Yeah, it would have been nice to go this year. Quite glad we didn't because it was meant to be peeing down with rain over in Ireland, so I didn't fancy getting very wet.
Rugby players, we don't moan about the rain. We like the rain.
I do.
You're front five. You should be absolutely loving the rain.
You should be covered head to toe in blood constantly.
He's mobile front five this one.
Backs don't like the rain.
And Jez, I mean, I'm sorry to admit this live on one of our podcasts, but obviously, being as old as you are you going to last another year? Are your knees going to hold up for you?
It's not my knees that I'm worried about. It's everything else. I've had more injuries playing how many games is it, Rich, so far? 4 games? 5 games for the mixed ability team?
4 or 5 games, I think, yeah.
Than I have in the whole 20 years previously of playing. It's brilliant.
Not Rich. Jez, you're still quicker than me, mate, so don't worry.
That's all right. To be fair, even if I can't go because of injury, I will still go. I will pay for myself to go because I know I've only been part of the Griffins team since last summer when I managed to bump into Darren at a charity game pretty much this time last year, and he said, come on down, have a look. It's looking really good down here. So I came down, enjoyed it so much, lucky enough to get picked for the squad. But it's just the guys are just so amazing. It's brilliant. It's really difficult to put into words, but I'm gonna tell you something now, Neil, that I'm hopeful that you're going to remember. I don't know if you can remember many years ago playing Drybrook at the old Doughty's pitch. Yes. And they came down, and there was a young lad who came down to watch his dad play, and he was. I think we were short, as always. And
about 6 people.
And he came to play for us, and that all he kept saying to us was that he could kick.
Right.
I don't know if you met tallish lad.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Tallish lad, blonde hair, brilliant, full of beans. He was really, really good at rugby, but you could tell he wasn't it's difficult to put into words.
Yeah.
Rocked up to training for the Griffins, but who should I see is that young lad that played for us all those years ago, and he's actually our number 1 kicker.
Oh wow! And did he remember you?
He doesn't. His dad remembers, so his dad comes down and watches. But for me, it's that whole. We use the word inclusion, and it's just how as Rich and Darren alluded to before about how everybody just gets on, and how it's like an old school rugby club. It's how I remember a rugby club being. None of these cliques. No one's really specifically interested in winning per se. They actually just want to play the game. And that's one of the reasons why I stayed at Doughty's for so long. If I wanted to win games, I wouldn't have played for Doughty's. Let's be fair.
Ooh,
but fair and true.
Yeah.
It's more about. It's just about enjoying rugby, and that's what it's reignited my passion for the game.
Well, I can tell just by the way you're talking about it, mate. Honestly, it's great to see.
I've done the whole, for the last 3-4 years, I've done the whole journeyman thing of, rocking out for clubs left, right and centre, just playing. And I was falling out of love with the game. And it just so happened, having that conversation with Darren, come back down, it's reignited that passion that's there. And the added bonus of possibly being part of the World Cup.
Yeah.
And more than likely, because I can see how well we play and how good we are as a team, coming back next June 2021 as World Cup champions.
Yeah,
we'll get you back on, and we'll do a post World Cup summer podcast.
I've got a better idea. We're going to get Surrey Chargers, and we're going to get yourselves on the week before.
Obviously, this quickly on what Jez says. Obviously, I totally agree. I cannot see why the Griffins cannot. I'm not saying we will be favourites, because obviously we've got a very tough group, I think. But I can't see why not. I can't see why we can't be up there, and we can't challenge other clubs for the cup. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a player. That's generally how I feel. I feel that Gloucester Griffins can challenge other clubs, and why not? Why can't we bring the cup home? Why not? Definitely.
Well, there was a famous quote said by someone much wiser than myself, and I can't think of who said it, but it was, the man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't are both right. So if you go there thinking, oh, we ain't going to win it, then you're not. Simple as. So it's all about the positive attitude, that thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is, yeah.
Going back briefly to what you were saying, Jez, about the camaraderie and the sort of the tight-knit unity of the Griffins. It reminds me very much of Dodger Sevens. Now, we formed, I don't know if you guys know about this, we formed a couple of years ago now to promote men's mental health awareness. And as you know, Jez, I play for many clubs, all over the country. And I always enjoyed the clubs like Doughty's, or the smaller clubs where you weren't going to win necessarily, but you had a great social life afterwards. Well, Dodgers is more like a family now. I was saying to someone the other week that my 15 season is a warm-up to sevens now. And I imagine that if any of you guys play 15s alongside mixed ability, it's very much the same. But it's great to hear another club that's sort of got it nailed in that sense, and everyone feels included and part of it. And it's you're lucky to be part of something like that, to be honest, because not everyone can say that.
Yeah. Well, I also, sorry, Jez. Sorry, mate. I've just obviously just quickly, Neil. Obviously, going on what you just said is actually very true, because obviously I also play for Long Evans thirds, which obviously is not mixed ability. It's more proper rugby. Yeah. Which with me, I struggle because I have Tourette's, so obviously it's not a great thing for me to obviously play rugby. But I enjoy it. Obviously, the more I concentrate, the more I focus. I won't twitch at all. Which is great because obviously when you've got a rugby ball in your hand, you don't want to be throwing it around and losing possession of the rugby ball. But yeah, maybe on a bit more professional side now. But yeah, obviously like playing for the thirds, it's, to be honest, yes, it's a little bit more different to play mixed ability. But on the flip side, I still love it, still enjoy it. I remember my first game. I think we played Coventry. And we went 7-0 up, which was all like, yeah, great, good feeling. And then we lost the game 77-7.
Oh, no way.
And it was, unfortunately, we lost, but the atmosphere was brilliant. And the best bit of that game for me was, unfortunately, well, for me it was anyway. But I'm a little bit fat and unfit, bless me. That's why I said Jess is much quicker than me. But I remember trying to chase their 14 back. And he was gone. There was no chance of me catching up. I just literally very badly just stopped and let him run. There was absolutely no chance of me catching him. He was gone. He was gone.
Neil does that most games. As soon as someone gets past him, to stop.
Any position, not just a winger, anyone. The ref.
Oh, cool, Neil.
Prop, anyone. There's a picture of me getting gassed by a number 8, and he left us back of the scrum the same time as me. And by the time I turned round, he was a good 4 meters away from me, and he's a good 10 years my senior. And that was against the Army.
Oh my God.
That was interesting.
I think you've hit it on the head though, Neil, about it being a family. It, as I say, from my point of view, I've only been part of the team now for 12 months, and I already feel like I've known everyone for years. Yeah. And the other good thing as well is it's not just the player side as well; it's the supporters side. To say my partner comes down, she's enjoyed watching it. It to the point where even my partner's son, Jay, who's only recently just turned 17, recently diagnosed with epilepsy, has actually come down to play with us as well. Yeah. And it's about being it's not just inclusive to the fact that someone's got a disability or a mental health issue. It comes back, it's inclusivity of everyone. I've been down, as you probably know as well, Neil, you've been down to rugby clubs where you're just expected to just play and then that's it. Nobody wants to socialise with you afterwards. They judge you for not having a drink in the clubhouse if you've got you've got prior engagements, or if you're just sat there drinking a Coke because you don't want a beer. There's none of that. It's literally you do what you want to do. We'll support you, whatever. And I think that's one of the biggest selling points of probably not just I can't really say it for any other mixed ability clubs like that, but specifically for Gloucester Griffins, is everybody's just so friendly and so welcome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, as I say, we spoke to Surrey Chargers last week, and it emulates from what they're saying that it goes away from the men, obviously the other ability team, or like the men's first team, second team, and third team, where there is those cliques, there is those. It's a little bit tougher for the inclusion. You get some of the players who are in the mixed ability team but do have the capacity to play higher up, but they don't want to because they feel judged or they feel like they can't do things and this, that, and the other. And and they emulated the same, saying the mixed ability rugby team had it sees past all the crap, all the situations that everyone's going through, and it gets down to the basics of let's play rugby and let's have a good time doing it. And it definitely emulates in the other mixed inclusive teams. Because we're seeing more and more how bad the regular men teams are, and it is a situation where it is bad. If you look at, it's not just the mixed ability teams. You look at the IGR, the International Gay Rugby. You look at women's teams. You look at, well, I used to coach women's teams, so they are just as bad as the men's teams. And you look at the mixed ability teams. It's a whole different. They're so different because they look past everything. They don't care. You walk on a pitch, they love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, normal clubs can learn a lot from that. And excuse me, obviously we've experienced it on the 7 side, which is obviously going to be a different experience to you guys.
Yeah.
But as a result now, as we touched on earlier, my 15 season is almost a warm up to 7s, which is why this lockdown period has really messed me up this year. I'm really unfit now going back into the 7 season. I'd have done a summer of 7s by now, and instead I'm blowing after about 10 yards of running, which is what.
No different to normal then.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was going to say that.
So when forming this team, when setting it up, what sort of challenges did you face? In terms of maybe the administration side or getting the team together, what sort of hurdles do you have to overcome?
Yeah. I think certainly the administration knowing how to deal with certain disabilities, because I'll be honest, I'm not an expert in it. I wasn't an expert, I'm still not. But it's how people want that, their first form of communication, for example. Like, everybody's different. Some people prefer it written down. Some people prefer it, speaking to them orally and that. So it's a case of find out all the little bits that people mainstream rugby probably doesn't have, and then building it together. And it probably took a good 12, 14 months to properly get it in some type of shape that we can move it forward. And when I was comfortable to move it forward, we brought people like Darren on and other coaches and stuff to take it that little bit further, if that makes sense.
And Darren, had you had experience in mixed ability rugby previous to this?
Absolutely none at all. No at all. I went into it with a typical mindset. Didn't know what to expect. You have certain perceivements of what it would be, and was totally blown away. It's nothing like that. Nothing like that. And it's probably the best decision I've ever made. I mean, I also coach kids as well, under 10s, but this is a whole nother level. It's so rewarding, and probably the biggest thing to come from it is if you can get people to that level of play and to filter into a third team of a rugby club, it can only benefit the club.
Yeah. I think Long Levens are one of the only clubs, luckily enough, in Gloucestershire to still have a thirds and seconds. I was with Old Boys for years, amongst many other clubs, and they're struggling. I mean, the first are struggling anyway, but the seconds for the last 2 years, I think last 2 seasons collectively, they probably played 15 games over both seasons. And it's just, I mean, what do you think has got to change? What's the problem with local rugby at the moment? Are the clubs not being nice enough to people when they come up, or are people just not interested in rugby?
I don't know what it is. I had 5 or 6 years playing in Wales, and playing in Wales for the clubs over there, it's a lot more like the Griffins mentality. It's a lot more friendly. It's a lot more, everyone's friends. It's a lot more old-fashioned in the respect they'd all stay after the club and have a beer. You'd all go up the town like we used to about 10, 15 years ago, maybe longer, some of us. And it was old school. I hate to use that phrase. It was old school. Now it just seems people are on social media, they have a rattle at each other, what are they going to do? And off they go after one pint. So, this is why the Griffins is so important. We'll go to away matches, and some of our trips are quite legendary, Rich, aren't they? Derby was driving around Derbyshire. We didn't even know where we were, but it was fun, wasn't it, for 2-3 hours? The magical mystery.
It makes the story, doesn't it? It makes
exactly that. Drinking places dry most places. It's literally an old-fashioned way, and it's so refreshing to be back into that. It's great.
And sorry.
No, sorry.
No, it's all right. I was just going to ask Jez a question. JK's used to this. I jump all over the place when I'm doing it.
It's fine, don't worry.
I just sit here quietly when he's doing the podcast because I don't get a word in edgeways.
No, that's fine. Yeah. Now, Jez, obviously being the sort of player and player welfare officer, not only do you have to cater to certain special ability or mixed abilities of the players, but in terms of a subject very close to our hearts at Dodger Sevens, mental health awareness, do you have to have any training on that? Because surely that, I imagine there's going to be a higher rate of mental health issues, perhaps, to go alongside the other situation. I mean, is that an issue? Is that something you've had to look into specifically?
No, as in all fairness, I accidentally stumbled across the player welfare position during our end of season awards night.
2 weeks ago, weren't it? 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks, yeah. As far as I'm aware, there's no specific training needed, but I think thankfully my job role, I work for local government within these trying to best to describe it, disability commissioning. So I work for the area that commissions packages of care for people with learning disabilities, mental health, physical disabilities, etc. So I've been on safeguarding training. I've been on training through that to be able to notice little signs when people are feeling down. But also because I'm manager of the team as well, it's given me extra training around how to notice these things. And I think it's more around having an empathic feeling to it. Just being able to read how people are. You get to know, if you're training with people and you're playing with people week in, week out, you get to know how they are. You know that, say Andy's quite a chatty, happy, smiley person. If Andy's doesn't seem overly chatty and smiley, I know that something's probably playing on his mind a little bit. So I can actually go and have a chat with him. even during games, you can tell people will get involved, and if they start to disappear off to the outside, you know that they're obviously not feeling it. They need a 5-minute chat or a little breakaway. It's just being able to just read those subtle changes, which I think everybody has. Everybody, like, I'm sure, Neil, you've got friends that even if they're not very talkative, something's up.
Yeah.
It's just being able to understand those sort of things. And luckily, because, as we've said so many times before, the Griffins is so friendly and so inclusive, and we're all there to support each other. We know when something's not right, whereas in any other club, it's normally such and such isn't in a very good mood. We're just going to leave them alone.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to tar that with every rugby club that's out there at all. It's just I know from previous experience that there are those situations where that does happen.
Yeah. Jez, Jez, just quickly. Sorry, just quickly, Jez. Can you remember? I can't remember who it was. What were you saying about, obviously, what you just said? Obviously, if you obviously use me as an example, which I'm absolutely fine. I've got no problem with using me as an example. That's actually just brought me back to a situation. Remember the game where I got really, really upset? My family came up to watch me. Wasn't going my way. Nothing was going my way, and I got really, really emotional.
Yeah.
I think you and Jared were the first, and this is nothing against other people, because other people are going to be obviously playing the game and just doing what they've got to do. But you and Jared were the first people to notice that there's something wrong with me. And I was actually, I was on about it the other day, so I was actually telling my brother, and I said to my brother, it actually really, really made me feel welcome. It really made me feel like a part of the team. You notice that something's wrong, you come up to me and say, "Look, come on, mate, what's the matter?" And it really made me feel like really welcome.
We're all one big family.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's a lot more emphasis on it nowadays, which is brilliant. And I'm speaking about mental health awareness specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just in day-to-day life. Obviously, with what happened to Caroline Flack, that brought it into sort of the forefront of the media. Horrible thing to have happened, but her legacy has sort of pushed that forward. You had the Be Kind game in Gloucester. I work in construction industry. I supply trades labour, so I go onto sites now. All different companies and sites are, they've got posters up about it. If you, be the mate you'd want to be, and that sort of thing. And Jez, you touched on a very interesting point that years ago, you'd look over, say you're at work and your mate's just sat there moping, and the easy thing to be would to kind of ignore it.
Yeah.
And just be like, we know he's having a shit day. Just leave him to it. Hopefully he'll be all right tomorrow. And I think it's great that now people are realising that is definitely the wrong thing to do. The best thing to do is just talk about it. And it's the hardest thing to do, don't get me wrong. I've suffered with depression, anxiety in the past, and still do, from time to time. And I try and be a good advocate of it. But yet, when I'm feeling down, the last thing I want to do is speak to a friend or someone about it. That's the key there. So
I think a lot of it comes from not forcing the matter. It's just letting people know that you're there. I think it's having that comfort in knowing that there are people there to talk to if you want to. I obviously we've been doing the press ups, 25 press ups for 25 days, and even I knew the first couple of days of tagging people in it. Yeah, you've got to do 25 press ups for 25 days. Then I started to think, which I think a lot of people have done as well, is that it puts added pressure on that person that you're tagging. They might not feel that they want to do it or they can't do it. Yeah. But it's more just actually saying to people that mental health is an issue for everyone. But just knowing that you've got someone there that you can talk to if you want to. Yeah, I've struggled over the last 12 weeks with, as I said before, being stuck at home, not being able to get out of the house to have that break from work. But I've been able to speak to people on Messenger, via text, just talk about how I feel, inquiring at how everybody's feeling. It's just being able to ask that question. You're all right? If they want to turn around and go, yeah, I'm fine, I'm not going to push the point. But if they actually turn around and say, no, I'm not, I'll then move it forward. WhatsApp, is there anything that I can help with?
Don't you find that when you ask the question now, are you okay, you actually mean it? Whereas before it was like, you're right, mate? It was a throwaway thing. Whereas now, when you ask someone that, you're actually generally like, you okay? How are you coping? So there are some massive positives coming from lockdown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's weird.
Definitely.
Sorry, no, it's taken us further apart, but in most cases, it's brought us closer together.
Through and technology. I mean, imagine if we were locked down 30, 40 years ago with no mobile phones, no tablets.
Yeah, no.
We couldn't have done this 10 years ago, even.
What were you going to say, Rich? Sorry, Rich, what were you going to say?
That's all right. I was just going to say, when we first started, 3-4 years ago, it wasn't necessarily about getting 15 blokes out on the paddock, to throw the ball around. It was more everything else that comes with it, having a drink in the bar and stuff like that, which we found a lot of people were susceptible. They wanted that social interaction rather than, don't get me wrong, the rugby is a huge bonus, but they just wanted to be part of something, feel part of something. And that's something that we installed. Like, even though we only train once a week and we only play once a week, all of the coaches, all of the management team, all of our friends, or everybody, the wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, whoever, we're all accessible on different formats of social media. So and I think that's brought us closer together rather than only seeing people once or twice a week. We're chatting to everybody on a daily basis, so we can really get a glimpse of if somebody's starting to struggle. And, there's a couple of people in the current climate who are struggling, but the first thing that me, Jez, and Darren do is get our heads together. This person's struggling, can you reach out to them, kind of thing. And at first people might not want to know, but just knowing that somebody's there, almost like how everybody wrap their arms around their shoulder, it makes a hell of a lot of a difference.
Massively.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
We've seen that within ourselves. Obviously, with the Dodgers rugby, we're very, very open that we're all available, and there's a few of our lads that are going through a lot. It's the same in ours, so we've got our own little management chat, and then we talk about it together, and we come up with action plans and say, this is the best way. Right, he's talking to me this time. I think if you give your tax and it's all about having an idea between you all. No, it's confidential. Know you're talking together, but to get a better outcome, because Rich, you'll go to one player and you'll give your view. They might not take that view, whereas Darren will go give his view next. It's like, okay, now I can see what's going on here, here, and here. This is how I can take parts of what Richard said, parts of what Darren said, and go, that's what I'm going to do to help myself.
Yeah. Well, that's helped us massively. A lot, just specifically talking about the groups that we're involved in. I mean, we know for a fact with our Dodger Sevens group, you can put a text on there and say, anyone free for a chat? You don't even have to say you're struggling or anything like that. If you put anyone free for a chat, within a minute, you'll have 6 text messages. You'll have 4 or 5 guys ringing you, not panicking, but just like, you all right, mate, you want to chat? What's up? And it's such a great community. And I imagine it's very similar to you guys. I'm assuming the same sort of thing. But yeah, like JK said, we've had players really struggling. We've had players, come out recently. We've had players that struggle with mental health and things like this. And to have that community and have that support and family is amazing. So to hear that you guys have got it done is brilliant. Really good.
Well, obviously my girlfriend, she suffers very badly from mental health. She's got anxiety, depression. She's pretty much got the whole lot, bless her. Obviously at the moment she's just finding the whole lockdown really, really struggling. She's struggling quite badly, and obviously every single day I just text her, "Hi sweetheart, you okay? Do you want to talk about things?" And if she goes, "Nah, I'm not, I don't want to talk," I'll go, "Okay, princess, I'm here if you want to talk." And the response I get back is, "She's like, thanks, babe." Go on, Rich.
Okay.
Was that a banter then? Was it, Rich? You're the way that now.
It was, mate. Using those words, mate. Do you know what I mean?
I call my wife princess all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm always calling her princess. I'm always getting told off as well. But no, just honestly,
I don't have a wife anymore, so I'm that's why I'm happy. So
yeah, but obviously, like just slightly coming off mental health issue, which we can go back to it. But this is what I love about the Griffins: banter between Rich and Jez and the whole players.
Hang on, Jez has got no banter whatsoever.
No, I haven't. Not at all.
I didn't get included in that.
Whoa.
It's got worse with age.
That's Rich coming from you, Neil.
Yeah, I know, but I learned off Jez.
You got zero chance.
You learned nothing
Oh,
off me, Neil. Nothing. Let me reach out those pictures from that night out and the police lady.
Let's not go there.
Oh yeah. Come on, let's
not go
please.
there.
Please, I want to know this.
So obviously, I'm gonna go back a little bit into the mental health side of things. I think I'm gonna mix the World Cup that was coming up with the mental health. Obviously, 50 players on your books, only 30 can go to the World Cup. Was there a bit of a lot of conversations that need to be happening with a few of the players who weren't selected? Was it? I guess it was quite tough having to make those decisions. I guess that took weeks.
It did. I think we were building up for about 5 weeks, 6 weeks of really like negotiating who should be where and in what. But there were a few phone calls or a few conversations to be had with different players. You know, mainly we put that down to myself, but Darren picked up some of them and spoke to a few of the lads. But the good thing about our team is they kind of got where we were going with it. You know, even though it is mixed ability, we never chose it on who's the best kind of thing, the best player. It's who deserves it more, who turns out training, who goes that extra mile for our team and within our community. Because that's something we take very seriously is how our guys can, not only within our club, but how can they help the community out as well.
Yeah.
And did you see, the majority, I'm guessing the majority took it on the chin and obviously took on what your words, but I'm guessing there was a few where you had to have a different approach and a different tact. Jez, did you have to get involved in some of these conversations where it did lower, obviously where they may have felt like they were on a spiraling way down, or?
No, I think not as far as I can remember. I know I've had conversations with people over the last couple of months about the World Cup in general, with people that are going and people that aren't going. And as Rich said, I think in the main, everybody was pretty happy with the decisions that were made. I think we'd already sort of been built. So as said before, I started in the August. I think from around about October time, there was discussions had about the World Cup, or everything that we needed to do as players to make ourselves available, to put ourselves in contention. The coaches and the Rich, as the director of rugby, have been very open and honest about how they were going to approach picking the squad and supporting people who may not have been sort of in the running, so to speak, trying to get them up to speed, and just generally making everybody aware that it was a 30-man squad. Some people will miss out, other people will go, and just keeping that support base there for those people that would have struggled. And I, from my point of view, I can't really remember anyone that had any issues with any of the selections. And in fact, when the team was finally announced, I think we had about 35, 40 people there, Rich?
Yeah, I was going to say there's quite a few people, weren't there?
Yeah.
And from my point of view, everyone was happy, bubbling, clapping for everyone, cheering for people.
Yeah. We did a very similar format to when the England team announced their World Cup for Japan. So we had the pictures of players and then his kids. The music in the background as well.
Love that.
Which worked really, really well. It was a proper World Cup launch night. Local dignitaries sort of turned up, that sort of thing. And
the best thing is you get to do it all again next year as well. You get to have another one doing.
Well, yeah. I'll probably be the only one who, out of the group, who'll actually say this has probably come as a bit of a blessing. The delay.
I'd agree.
Okay, there's two of us.
To get ready, because I know
for the very simple reason, we found out in September we accepted. Rich, I know a bit like, I don't know, but we found out in September and we went on full throttle for fundraising because it costs a fortune to get 50 plus people over there, whereas care workers, accommodation, everything else, transport.
Yeah.
And we have done fantastically well so far. I mean, targets we set ourselves, we absolutely blitzed. But I think this extra bit of time, okay, the lockdown's not exactly ideal, but refocus, refresh, and also get some more training in. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Prepare.
more pocket
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, it's kind of in a way, Darren. It's been a bless for me because obviously I don't mind saying this, but obviously I'm in a semi-independent living, which I had a meeting yesterday, and they're actually on about moving me on in the next year or two. So I could be coming to training the next year or two on my own, which for me it will be. It's going to be scary, but brilliant because I'll be able to socialise with all the people I know up there, and I know for a fact everyone will look after me. Keep me safe, make sure I'm all right. So I've got no problems with that at all, to be honest.
That's good. Because I was having a look, and I know, obviously, Bumblebees are at my neck of the woods, as is Halifax Magpies. Obviously, Bumblebees being the forefront of mixability in the past, given that they were the number one and they were the first. And Surrey Chargers had a tough group. You guys had a real World Cup group with Wales, Spain, England, and Argentina.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Argentina, and obviously you can see some of the Argentina. I think was a big shock for me when I saw they've got a good number of mixability teams. Where
what's the rules with mixability rugby? Do you have to have is there only a certain amount of able-bodied people that can play, or what's the sort of mix there?
No, it's more based on the people who are deemed as enablers or like ex-rugby players that they're not expected to beat off 8-9 tackles kind of thing in score under the post. It's more about helping the likes of the Andys of this world in other people. Like we got a lad called Hayden. He's about 5'2", extremely autistic, and he scored his first try for the Griffins down at Cardiff Arms Park last year. Absolutely, it was life changing for him. And it was just a case of a few enablers would have probably could have like wrote him off in a tackle, but it was more about the fact that he'd go on and score. Yeah. But so basically, what I'm saying is it's that those people are more there to help those people that need it, kind of thing. So there's no set rules in or quotas or anything like that. It's you don't want your number 10 who's never played there before, just throwing the ball about willy-nilly. So you stick someone in there generally who's played that position or has got a good knowledge of the game, for example. But you work on it like that, really. But you just say Argentina, when they went to the World Cup last year, they had a game the day before they flew off where they actually played the Argentinian first 15, which was obviously very rewarding. And they were seen off onto the plane by the president of Argentina. So different countries have different aspects of how they want to treat their guys, kind of thing.
And in terms of sort of age ranges with the team, then what's sort of your youngest player? What's your oldest player?
God, I'll let you do it because you've been quiet for a bit.
So what's the age group? The youngest, I suppose, is we start at 17, don't we? Essentially, is it 16 or 17?
Yes, they can start training at 16, but playing at 17.
And I'm assuming Jez is the oldest player at 67.
Yes.
In all honesty, there's no age limit. There's absolutely no age limit whatsoever. I mean, one thing to build on what Rich said as well is, which when I first approached it, thought this ain't going to work, is, enablers, as you said, are full contact, where you go. The scrums are passive. Lineouts are fully go for it, aren't they? As far as I'm aware, they seem to be. Yeah. And those who can't take the physical contact or anything else like that will potentially or I'm confident, should I say as well, have a bib.
Okay.
So when it goes to a ruck situation, if you sort of touch a player with a bib on, he goes down, presents the ball. No one can sort of jackal over or steal the ball. It's just accepted. That's it. And, and it's front foot rugby from the start because you're always guaranteed to win your own ball on a scrum, which I played in teams. That never happens half the time.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably the beauty of it. And I looked into it and I thought, there's no way in this world it's going to work. And I played my first game and thought, this works.
Yeah.
People have different interpretations of it, teams. We come across where you need to have a word with the ref and say, hang on a minute, please stop writing off, our bid player and things like that. But generally, it flows so well. Honestly, you ever get a chance to have a look at it, it's great fun playing it. It's great fun.
So one of the things about getting mixability rugby into the community game more, would it be the best set around mixing it with the vets teams, who don't generally have enough players to make a vets team to play another vets team, mixing those ex-rugby players essentially who want to lace up their boots again with those with other abilities? Is that the way forward? Is that because obviously most teams have a vet system and some capacity. Do you see that as the way forward and the way to do it?
I don't know. It's a tough call because every player's differently. I've played vets games where all they've wanted to do is have a 30-man brawl. So, and other vets teams which are really more so on the social aspect side of things, very welcoming to other players. As Jess said, with young Luke, who played either for Doughty or against him. So there's different ways around it, but we find that when we play our game, a lot of clubs, some clubs can manipulate, like, not so much the rules, because there aren't any rules in place, but manipulate the situation. But certainly for us, it's about, those people who are wearing bibs. Can they wear bibs? Let's build them up. Let's build their confidence. Let's try and get them tackling. And if we can do that, we've done our job right as coaches. And I think we've had, over the course of the last 12 months alone, there's about 8 people who have started off with a bib, gained their confidence of themselves, of the coaches, and now gone on to just proper contact rugby, Andy being one of them. But I think when it comes to how do we encourage more people to do it, it's purely, I guess, of getting the right people involved, because we've all played rugby and there's been some bad eggs. Perhaps they're the wrong people to be showing others how to play it. But certainly up at Surrey, you've got vets like Mikey Reagan, people like that, who are very much on board with what they're doing, and it goes to show he's moved on now to Harlequin's community, I think.
Just on that, Rich, I can remember the Wooden Spoons game, which for me, I was absolutely shitting myself, especially some of the photos of the players. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a great laugh. It was amazing.
But
that's the invitational side, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's good, and it's always those matches that stick in your mind, isn't it? And that sort of thing. So it's about getting those experiences, and I can't wait to. I'll be following the results and stuff when you do go to the World Cup, guys, and hopefully get a chance to come and see a game over in Longlevens, because I'm Gloucester boy myself. So when I'm back,
you haven't mentioned that ever, Neil. You don't.
I never mentioned that from Gloucester.
You don't mention the shed. You don't mention Gloucester ever.
Right. Well. We've got all the serious questions out of the way. It's scenario time now. I don't know if you guys have watched any of our podcasts, but we usually do sort of scenario questions at the end. Right. As we've put these to a lot of our guests and different teams, now you're on lockdown for 2 weeks, right? You have to be locked down with one player that you play with, right? You cannot leave the house. You're having food brought to you. You literally can't leave a 2-bed studio flat for 2 weeks. Who would make it an absolute living hell?
See, I saw all of your eyes going, I was thinking someone we'd like to have that with. No,
yeah. Who couldn't you survive sweeting with, and why?
Literally just watch the faces just go.
Oh, there's so many.
Who would make it a living hell? And
Jez, you can't pick Neil, because I wouldn't.
No, that's fine. Is it raining during that 2-week period?
We'll say yeah. It's England.
Yes. Hayden.
Right. Okay. Why is that?
Love him to bits, but he's like a constant weatherman. He worries about the weather constantly. In fact, Darren and Richel confirmed this. We obviously trained yesterday, and the 3 hours beforehand, he wanted 5-minute updates on whether training was on due to the rain, whether it was flooded. I joke, really, it is part of Hayden's disability, so to speak.
Yeah, disability, yeah.
But yeah, absolutely love him to bits, but he's like the Energizer Bunny. He goes on and on and on.
Well, you need that on the rugby pitch. You need that.
You do, yes.
Yeah. What about you then, Andrew? Who would you choose?
Oh my God.
And remember, they can watch this at one point.
They should be watching it, hopefully.
Thanks. Do you know what? I really don't know. I know that's not going to be very helpful.
Diplomatic, Andy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Darren.
Politician.
You can say anything on your coaching staff as well. It doesn't have to be just.
I know. I've been nice to Rich. He wrote me off once already this season.
So Darren, then who would you go for?
Sorry, me?
Yeah.
I would say out of our team, and Jez has already alluded to him, is Luke Begler.
Right.
The man is the Gloucester stash merchant. He has absolutely every bit of fresh stash from Gloucester. Not only will he put it in the group, he will message me privately and say, Dad, you've got to buy this, you've got to buy this. They've got to get him a job. If anyone else watches this from Gloucester Rugby Club, this guy promotes your stuff like you would not believe. Socks, underwear, rain jackets. I'll hook you up. I'll take a percentage of it. Just do it. The man is a legend.
He can do some videos, can't he? He can do some promotion videos and get them out.
It's unbelievable. Absolutely relentless. He's awesome. Awesome guy.
We'll try and facilitate that one.
What about yourself then, Rich?
Obviously, I'm going to play quite diplomatic here, but I think if it comes right down to it, it's be one of three people, and we call them the three amigos. So you've got Dave, Jordan, and Scott.
Wow.
Honestly, if you can think of what you're the biggest chaps in the world, then you're about there kind of thing. But we love them so much. We know what we're going to get with them, but you add that with the fact that it feels like they're on ADHD kind of thing, on a constant. But yeah, it's quite full on. So one of those three, I'd say.
Neil.
Hello.
Can you remember Dangerous Dave from Gloucester All Blues?
Yes.
That's the Dave he's on about.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Oh, small world. Yeah.
Yeah.
You played for. It's very unnerving.
Me?
The pair of you literally sat there going, Long Leland. What about? How many is there?
I worked out. A friend of mine designs tattoos, and I want him to design me a sleeve. And I said I'm going to put the club crest of every club I've ever played for on there.
Yeah,
I need both arms. Yeah, so that's just I'm just a rugby slut, as I get called, or Tiger Woods and all that sort of stuff. Right, one more really, really important question. So you all wake up in a darkened room. You're thinking, what the hell's going on here? There's no way out. You hear a little squeaking coming from the corner, and it's that little scary bugger from Saw coming in on his little tricycle.
Oh, Jigsaw.
Where's this going?
Right, so you look over on the table, and to survive and get out of the room, there are 3 bottles of Jaeger, 30 pints of Guinness, 20 pints of lager, and 3 bottles of port. Okay. Now, between the 4 of you, you've got to pick 3 players from the team that you reckon could do it in 4 hours.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I'm out, totally.
Well, like boat races.
How many players? How many people?
Well, I was going to say 3. It depends on how big the drinkers are, obviously.
Let's be realistic. You probably go for the 3 amigos on that, couldn't you? They do it on a Saturday night.
Yeah. Aaron. Aaron can drink.
Nice. Do you ever have boat races and stuff like that after games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have one done at Cardiff not so long ago.
Yeah,
we just put 30 points on Cardiff at the Arms Park at the moment. That's the Globase, and we smashed them at the boat race as well, which is always a good winner.
It's always better, and it makes the beer taste better as well afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Right, guys, I think that, unless anyone's got anything to add, that pretty much wraps it up for today. Really appreciate it.
I was only going to say, I am in awe of you guys, obviously, given my background with my 10-year-old son. You guys are a godsend, and I hope it does go on. And I know the effects you are having on people's lives, on kids' lives and adults' lives. We played in Swansea at the beach rugby against a mixed ability team. And yes, he did it illegally, and we won't talk about that. But a young lad scored his first try. And the ref was going to blow him, and we went, "Nah, crack on, let him have this," because he was jumping around, and you could just see the joy in the faces. And
again, JK, that is what in my eyes, that is what rugby is about.
Exactly. And seeing that joy fills me with warmth. So I am envious of you guys getting to see that on every Wednesday on a weekend. So you guys. Well done, guys, and keep up the good work. And
thank you very much. You're welcome.
Yeah, and thank you very much for coming on, lads. And please keep in touch with us. As I say, I obviously speak to Jez often, every now and again. Anyway, so keep in touch with us. We'll try and get down and come and watch a game at some point if we can. I know a few of the other Dodgers are often in Gloucester, visiting me anyway, so we can try and get a team social sorted or something like that. A few of us.
Please come down. Excellent. Join in. If you want to join in, come and join in with us as well. That'd be even more fun.
I'll bring me boots.
See if I can burn you off.
Just
challenge accepted.
I'll
just put it out there then. In the start of December, we are actually at home against Surrey Chargers. So
there we go.
There's no excuse, really, is there?
JK, coming out.
Thanks, Chris.
Unlike Neil, I played decent standard rugby, so I might not be able to get out of it. But
okay, water boy for a big team is not something to be proud of.
I'll
definitely be there. 100%. Jez, keep in touch with me about the date.
Yeah, I will do.
We'll try and get a few of the Dodgers boys down, Domhnall, who spoke to the Surrey Chargers the other week, and that'd be a good social.
Yeah, champion.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, thank you for your time, gents, and we'll keep in touch and hopefully get you back on when got some more news to talk about, like the World Cup or something like that.
Definitely, yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Excellent. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers, Neil. Cheers, JK.
Take care.